folks, welcome back to Game Geeks. I'm your host, Kurt Wiegel. Today I want to talk about the role-playing game from Primeval. Primeval is a TV series that was done on ITV and then got farmed out to a couple of other sources as well for the last couple of seasons before it finally just kind of staggered and died. Finally, there was also Primeval New World, which was set in Canada, which I actually enjoyed simply because it was weird to see all of these Canadian actors that we're used to seeing in sci-fi shows actually being Canadian instead of pretending that they're in the Battlestar Galactica or that they're on another planet or something. So we mentioned Primeval back in our giant 30-minute love letter to Doctor Who. And I since decided that it's really a wonderful enough game and it deserves more respect than I gave it there that I want to be able to talk about it here for a few more minutes. Primeval itself uses the exact same engine as Doctor Who, that is now called the Vortex system, which is a fairly standard attribute plus skill plus 2d6 versus a variable target number. One of the things that the game does pretty interestingly is their application of story points is a little bit broader than you would normally see from your fate point, drama point, plot point system, in that it can do different things. Instead of adding a static number to your rolls, it rolls more dice, which, as one of my players put it, can really screw you over quickly. Also, it allows for more in the way of plot manipulation than you would see in something like Eden Studios' cinematic unit system. My main problem with the drama points from Eden Studios is I can never seem to get people to use them for plot device. It's always, oh, I packed my weapon, or oh, I add 10 when I attack. One of the other things that makes Vortex, a little bit different, it's easy to trip over those two if you're not paying attention. One of the things that makes Vortex a little different is damage seems like it's a lot lower, but it comes right off of your attributes rather than off of a separate pool of hit points or life points or what have you. So the danger there is you really see that downward spiral of doom happening a lot faster, because if you get smacked in the head, then you start to lose points more quickly and you're not as good about thinking at things. Or if your injury is a broken leg, look, how do I know it's broken? My coordination is down to 1. Ugh, that's bad. So one of the main differences between Doctor Who and Primeval in terms of how the system works is there are fewer auto-kill weapons. For instance, in Doctor Who, a Dalek Ray, a Cyberman Blast, a Judon Blaster, they all have the damage of 4 for the basic hit, kill, kill, or LL. Meaning, if you get hit, you die. End of story. There's less instant death like that in Primeval, but I present to you that a good solid chomp for a Tyrannosaur is going to kill you just as quick as a Dalek Blast would. Concurrently, they give you a lot more prehistoric critters in Primeval for you to run away from, fight with, etc. One of the areas that I think Primeval, the game, really shines, that I thought it deserved its own respect as a system, as a game, is that it also gives you the ability to create future monsters, which is a recurrent theme in some of the Primeval series of these predators from the future or mer creatures from the future or these other basic nasties that come backwards from their time into ours to wreak havoc. That's brilliantly done, actually, and it gives you some absolutely chilling ideas about how some of these modern critters that we have now can be scaled up. For instance, the fungal infection that makes ants climb to the top of the trees before they explode and spread the spores everywhere. Imagine if someone gets infected with the future fungus that does that, that wants to go to the top of the tallest building, novas, and then the spores fly around, and you got to find a way to contain that. Another thing that Primeval does brilliantly is the idea of timeline damage. That if you change things in the past, that it can have a very real causality effect on the future. So that deals with the fact that it gets into the whole delicate sound of thunder when you step on a butterfly and then all of a sudden the world is dominated by reptiles. Then it gives the GM the option to be more or less brutal on that as they choose. One of the recurrent themes throughout between all three of the series really is you don't change things in the past. You try to tranquilize the critter and dump it back through to minimize future damage. Players being players, they're not going to say, hey, look, it's a velociraptor. Let's tranquilize it and then shove it back through the big shiny anomaly. They're going to say, cool, I get to kill a velociraptor with a machine gun. You can interpret that as you will. It also gives you the option for characters to be somehow temporally displaced or time damaged. Also, it gives you the option to build conspiracies or government agencies for whom you work. The conspiracies are really very nice because it's other groups that know about these anomalies and want to use them for a purpose that is counter to yours. Some of them are extremely interesting. I think my favorite is a research vessel from our near future that goes through whatever the disaster is, finds a way to go back and then parks their boat in the Jurassic. It seems like they're looking for a way to either gently restore their timeline or assimilate into a similar one in our future, in our current time, but there may be deeper motivations there that we're not aware of that could be equally dangerous. One of the other options it gives you is how to work for a private agency rather than a government agency. So you could simulate cross-photonics from Primeval New World if you really wanted to. Now, the Primeval game itself is extremely well self-contained and a beautiful, beautiful book. The Primeval Companion was just released on PDF. What the Companion gives you is, well, probably what you'd expect, more critters for you to run around and stomp. If you really so saw fit, if you had the need to find more things from the past to fight with. Also gives you a couple of other optional settings or campaign frameworks, including Operation George, which is a World War II era anomalies on an island, don't let the Germans have them, or a small isolated village where the villagers know what's going on through folklore and local legend and try to deal with it accordingly. More monsters, like I mentioned, and finally a few more adventures in there that you could throw at your characters, some of which have been run at cons in the past. For example, I played in the Message in the Anomaly adventure at Gen Con a couple of years ago. I don't like to talk about adventures mainly because I feel like I give away something critical in the process. So with Primeval, what you get is a very well done self-contained game dealing with similar themes to Doctor Who or a unit game, but the ability to build your own agency, build your own base, also deal with these other conspiracies that know what's going on with the space-time anomalies, and how to deal with temporal damage from people mucking around in the past where they shouldn't be. Could you combine the two? Absolutely. I think Unit and Primeval make a beautiful game together. I think you could hack the two together and make Torchwood and Primeval if you really wanted to. With the recently released Rocket Age core book, also from Cubicle 7, that uses the Vortex game system, you can add a certain alternate universe Buck Rogers or Flash Gordon in this solar system theme to the game as well, such that, hey, look, you messed around in the past. Look what you made. You made Buck Rogers in the 20th-ish century. For Game Geeks, I'm your host, Kurt Wiegel. Good day and good gaming.